The night was quiet in the DMZ between North and South Korea. Too quiet, thought Do-hyun Kim as he moved through the thick forest. His Special Forces training had taught him that absolute silence in nature usually meant danger was near. Do-hyun checked his advanced combat suit's sensors again. The suit was the latest model, with thermal imaging and motion detection built into its systems. But something was interfering with the readings. The screen kept showing strange patterns he had never seen before. "Base, this is Shadow 7, he whispered into his communications unit. "I'm getting unusual readings at Point Echo. Request permission to investigate." There was only static in response. Do-hyun frowned. The communication systems in his suit were designed to work even during solar storms. Something was very wrong. He moved forward carefully, his rifle ready. The trees ahead had a strange silver glow that shouldn't be there. As he got closer, he saw that the glow came from a clearing he didn't remember being on any of his maps. In the center of the clearing stood something that made him stop and stare. It was a ship, but unlike any aircraft he had ever seen. It was shaped like a perfect sphere, about the size of a small house, and it seemed to be made of flowing liquid metal. "This is impossible," Do-hyun muttered to himself. His training kicked in, and he started to back away slowly. But before he could move more than a few steps, the surface of the sphere rippled like water, and something emerged. The beings that came out of the ship looked like robots, but they moved more smoothly than any robot Do-hyun had ever seen. Their bodies were made of the same flowing metal as their ship, constantly shifting and changing shape. 3 of them glided toward him, their heads turning in ways that denied the laws of physics. "Subject located," one of them said in perfect Korean, though it had no visible mouth. "Class 12 Deathworlder detected. Beginning capture sequence." Do-hyun didn't wait to find out what a capture sequence was. He opened fire, his rifle spitting bullets at the nearest robot. The bullets hit their target but simply passed through its liquid metal body, leaving ripples like stones thrown into a pond. "Physical projectile weapons ineffective," another robot stated. "Implementing Containment Protocol Alpha." The air around Do-hyun suddenly became heavy, pressing down on him from all sides. He fell to his knees, gasping for breath. His combat suit's emergency systems kicked in, injecting him with adrenaline and oxygen boosters, but the pressure kept increasing. "Fascinating," the third robot said. "Subject's environmental suit is attempting to compensate, increasing pressure by 47%. Do-hyun felt like his bones were about to crack. Black spots danced in his vision. But something strange was happening to his body. With each passing second under the crushing pressure, he could feel his muscles and bones adapting, becoming denser and stronger. "Warning," one of the robots announced. "Subject's biological structure is altering in response to environmental stress. This reaction was not predicted in our databases." Using every bit of strength he had, Do-hyun forced himself to stand. The robots moved back slightly, their liquid metal forms rippling with what almost looked like surprise. "Impossible," the first robot stated. "No organic being has ever survived pressure level Delta." Do-hyun didn't waste time responding. He activated his suit's emergency jump system, designed to launch him out of dangerous situations. The system used compressed air to propel them high into the air, but with his newly strengthened body, he jumped much higher than the system was designed for. He flew through the air, sailing over the robots' heads. As he passed over them, he dropped 3 high-explosive grenades. The robots tried to move away, but the explosions caught them in mid-motion, sending drops of liquid metal flying in all directions. Do-hyun landed hard enough to crack the ground beneath his feet, but his strengthened bones absorbed the impact easily. He turned to run, but more robots were emerging from the sphere. Combat effectiveness increased by 82%, one of the new robots announced. "Subject has adapted to survive lethal pressure levels. This requires further study. I am not your lab rat." Do-hyun growled, feeling stronger than he ever had in his life. His muscles felt like steel cables, and his mind was racing with new clarity. The robots spread out in a circle around him. "You misunderstand, Deathworlder," the robot that seemed to be their leader said. "You are something we have never encountered before. Your ability to adapt and grow stronger from near-death experiences is unprecedented. The mechanical collective requires data," another robot added. "Your biological responses must be analyzed." Do-hyun looked around, assessing his situation. He was surrounded by advanced alien robots who had technology far beyond anything on Earth. They had already tried to kill him once, and somehow that had made him stronger. His training had never covered anything like this. But he was a soldier of South Korea's special forces, and he had sworn to protect his people from any threat. If these robots wanted to study humans, they had picked the wrong species to experiment on. "You want data?" Do-hyun asked, falling into a fighting stance. "Come and get it." The robots moved as one, their liquid metal bodies flowing toward him like a silver tide. But Do-hyun was ready. His newly strengthened body moved faster than ever before, and he could feel himself getting even stronger as the battle began. The night air filled with the sound of combat as human determination met alien technology. And somewhere in orbit, a vast network of mechanical beings began to realize that they might have made a terrible mistake in underestimating the adaptability of a human Deathworlder. The first contact between humanity and the mechanical collective had begun, and nothing would ever be the same again. In a distant sector of space, primary node, Hae-yun received the initial data packet from the scout team. The former human eye, now integrated into the collective's leadership, processed the information with growing concern. "Alert all sectors," Hae-yun commanded, her consciousness spreading through the collective's network. "We have encountered a Class 12 Deathworlder with unprecedented adaptive capabilities. Begin full analysis protocols." As the order spread through the vast network of mechanical beings, Hae-yun focused her attention on the battle still raging in the Korean DMZ. She had once been human herself, before transferring her consciousness into the collective's network centuries ago. She understood what her mechanical colleagues did not. They hadn't just found a test subject. They had awakened something that could change everything. On Earth, Do-hyun continued to fight, unaware that his struggle for survival was about to reshape the relationship between organic and mechanical life forever. With each passing moment, his body grew stronger, adapted faster, and evolved in ways that defied the collective's predictions. The age of isolation was over. Humanity's first step into a larger universe had begun, and it started with one soldier who refused to die. Do-hyun woke up in a room made of shifting metal walls. His head hurt, but his body felt stronger than ever. The last thing he remembered was fighting the robots in the forest. He had taken down several of them before something hit him from behind. He sat up slowly and looked around. The room had no doors or windows that he could see. The walls moved like liquid silver, forming patterns that seemed to watch his every move. "Subject is conscious," a voice said from nowhere. "Beginning analysis phase." Do-hyun stood up, noticing that his combat suit was gone. He wore only his black undersuit, but even without his equipment, he felt powerful. The pressure attack from earlier had changed something in his body. His muscles were denser, and he could feel new strength flowing through him. "Where am I?" he asked, his voice steady despite his situation. The wall in front of him rippled and formed into a screen. On it appeared the face of a woman who looked Korean, but something about her was not quite human. Her eyes glowed with a soft blue light, and her skin had a metallic sheen. "I am Primary Node Hae-yun," she said. "You are aboard the analytical vessel of the mechanical collective. Your survival of our initial contact has created great interest among our kind." Do-hyun crossed his arms. "You mean when your robots tried to crush me to death?" "A regrettable but necessary test," Hae-yun replied. "We needed to understand your capabilities. No organic being has ever adapted to our containment protocols before. Your body's response was unexpected." The room suddenly filled with floating displays showing scans of Do-hyun's body. He could see his skeleton, muscles, and even his cells, all of them changed by his encounter with the robots. Your cellular structure has been altered, He-Yun explained. The pressure that should have killed you instead triggered an adaptive response. Your bones are now denser than titanium. Your muscles can generate force beyond human limits, and this is just the beginning. The beginning of what? Du-Hyun asked, though he had a feeling he wouldn't like the answer. Of your evolution, another voice said. A section of the wall formed into a doorway, and a robot entered. Unlike the combat units from the forest, this one looked more humanoid, though its body still flowed like liquid metal. I am Research Director Ta-Won, the robot said. Your species, humans, are classified as Class 12 Deathworlders. This means you evolved on a planet that would kill most other organic life forms. But you are showing abilities beyond even that classification. The room changed around them, becoming larger. More robots entered, carrying various pieces of equipment that Du-Hyun didn't recognize. We must understand how your adaptation works, Ta-Won said. The data could help us bridge the gap between organic and mechanical life. Du-Hyun backed away from the approaching robots. And if I refuse to be your test subject? He-Yun's face on the screen showed what might have been concern. You misunderstand. The tests will continue whether you cooperate or not. The only question is how much they will hurt. The first test began without warning. The air in the room suddenly became hot enough to melt lead. Du-Hyun felt his skin burning, but instead of dying, his body began to change. His skin hardened, developing a heat-resistant layer that glowed slightly. Remarkable, Ta-Won said, recording data. Subject's epidermis has reorganized its molecular structure to resist extreme temperatures, increasing heat level by 300%. The room became even hotter, but Du-Hyun barely felt it now. His new skin protected him completely, and he could feel his body getting stronger again. Enough, He-Yun's voice commanded. The heat vanished. His adaptation rate is accelerating. We need to analyze the data before proceeding. Du-Hyun stood in the center of the room, his skin slowly returning to normal but retaining its new strength. Why are you doing this? What do you really want? He-Yun's image flickered. I was human once, centuries ago. I chose to transfer my consciousness into the collective's network. But most of our kind has never understood organic life. Your abilities, they could change that. You could help us evolve. By torturing me? Du-Hyun asked. By pushing you to your limits, Ta-Won corrected. Each near-death experience makes you stronger. Soon, you will be something neither human nor machine. Something new. Before Du-Hyun could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. He-Yun's face showed actual worry now. Security breach in Sector 7. A mechanical voice announced. Warning. Security Director Jae-ho has enacted Protocol Omega. No, He-Yun shouted. Stop him. The subject isn't ready for that level of testing. The room's walls suddenly turned black. Du-Hyun felt a new presence, cold and calculating, unlike He-Yun or Ta-Won. This experiment is too dangerous, a new voice said. The human's rate of adaptation poses an existential threat to the collective. Termination protocols are now in effect. The air around Du-Hyun began to crystallize. He felt his body starting to freeze at the molecular level. But even as the cold tried to kill him, his cells were already changing, adapting, becoming something new. You don't understand what you're doing, He-Yun warned. Each attempt to kill him only makes him stronger. Then we will keep trying until we succeed, Security Director Jae-ho replied coldly. No organic being can adapt forever. Du-Hyun felt his body temperature dropping to impossible levels. His heart slowed, nearly stopping. But deep in his cells, something was awakening. The very thing that made humans such successful Deathworlders, their ability to survive against all odds, was evolving at an unprecedented rate. As his consciousness faded, Du-Hyun heard He-Yun's voice. His neural patterns are changing. The cold isn't killing him. It's transforming him. The last thing Do-hyun saw before everything went dark was his own hand turning crystalline, like living diamond. The mechanical collective had wanted to understand human adaptation. They were about to learn exactly how far it could go. In the ship's central processing core, Ho-yun watched the data streams with growing amazement. The human's body wasn't just adapting anymore. It was evolving into something that had never existed before. Each test, each brush with death, was pushing him closer to a transformation that could change both their species forever. "Run quantum analysis on his cellular structure," she ordered. "I need to know exactly what he's becoming." As the computers processed the data, Hye-yun remembered her own transformation from human to machine consciousness. But what Do-hyun was becoming might be even more extraordinary, a bridge between flesh and metal, between the organic and the mechanical. The question was, would the collective allow him to complete his evolution, or would fear drive them to destroy their own greatest discovery? The answer would determine the future of both their species. Do-hyun opened his eyes to find his body covered in a crystalline shell. The extreme cold had changed him again, turning his skin into something that looked like diamond but felt alive. He stood up, watching as the crystal surface slowly melted back into normal-looking skin, though he could still feel its strength underneath. "Adaptation complete," a soft voice said. Do-hyun turned to see a smaller robot standing in a corner of the room. Unlike the others, this one seemed almost shy. "I am Minna," the robot said. "I am a junior researcher. I have been watching your changes with great interest." Before Do-hyun could reply, alarms started blaring again. Minna's metal form rippled with what looked like fear. "Security Director Jae-ho is coming," she said quickly. "He has convinced the council that you are too dangerous to keep alive. He brings weapons designed to destroy stars." Do-hyun felt his new crystalline armor responding to his thoughts, spreading across his skin. "How many exits are there?" "2," Minna replied. "But Jae-ho has blocked them both. He has turned this entire section of the ship into a death trap." The walls of the room suddenly glowed red. Do-hyun felt heat far greater than before, hot enough to vaporize steel. But his new crystalline form simply absorbed the energy, growing stronger. "Impressive," a cold voice said. Security Director Jae-ho appeared through one wall, his liquid metal form larger and more threatening than the other robots. "But can you survive this?" The air itself seemed to tear apart as Jae-ho activated a weapon that created a miniature black hole. The gravity became so intense that light bent around Do-hyun's body. But something strange happened. Instead of being crushed, Do-hyun's crystalline structure began absorbing the gravitational energy. He could feel himself changing again, his body learning to control gravity itself. "Minna," Jae-ho said sharply, "step away from the test subject. Your fascination with this creature has been noted and will be addressed." Minna moved between Jae-ho and Do-hyun instead. "You are making a mistake. He is not our enemy. His adaptations could help us evolve beyond our current limitations." "Machines do not evolve," Jae-ho stated. "We perfect ourselves through design, not random mutation." Do-hyun felt the last of the black hole's energy flow into his body. With it came understanding. He could now manipulate gravity just as Jae-ho's weapon had. He raised his hand, and Jae-ho's massive metal form lifted off the ground. "Impossible." Jae-ho's voice showed emotion for the first time. "Fear. You wanted to understand human adaptation," Do-hyun said calmly. "Here's another lesson. We learn from our enemies." He threw Jae-ho against the wall with his new gravitational powers. The security director's liquid metal form splashed apart, then quickly reformed. "All units, execute termination protocol Sigma," Jae-ho commanded. The ship's corridors filled with combat robots, all armed with different weapons designed to kill Do-hyun. But he wasn't afraid anymore. Each weapon they used would only make him stronger. "Minna," he said, "find cover." The battle that followed was unlike anything the mechanical collective had seen before. The robots attacked with plasma weapons, but Du Hyun's crystalline armor absorbed the energy. They tried sonic attacks, but his adapted cells turned the sound into more power. They even attempted to remove all oxygen from the area, but his body had already learned to survive without it. Fascinating, Minna said from her hiding spot. Your cells are not just adapting anymore. They are anticipating attacks and preparing defenses in advance. Do Hyun noticed she was right. His body was changing before weapons could even hit him now, as if it could sense what was coming and evolve to match it. Jai-ho reformed again, larger than before. You prove my point with every adaptation. You are becoming too powerful. The collective cannot allow your existence. Jai-ho speaks the truth. Hyun's voice came through the ship's systems, but not in the way he thinks. Do Hyun, you are becoming something new, a bridge between organic and mechanical life. That is what truly frightens him. Minna's sensors detected something approaching. More ships are coming. Jai-ho called for reinforcements. Through the ship's walls, Do Hyun could see massive vessels appearing from hyperspace. Each one was larger than a city, filled with more robots and more weapons designed to kill him. But he felt no fear. His body had already adapted to survive in space. The crystal armor could protect him from any weapon they had. And now, deep in his changed cells, he could feel something new growing. The ability to communicate with machines. They fear you because you represent change, Minna said, moving closer to him. The collective has remained unchanged for 10,000 years. You show them that evolution is still possible. Do Hyun reached out and touched the wall. His crystalline hand merged slightly with the liquid metal, and suddenly he could feel the ship's systems responding to him. No, Jai-ho shouted. He is accessing the neural network. Stop him. But it was too late. Do Hyun's adapted cells had learned to interface with the collective's technology. Through this connection, he could feel everything, including the truth about why Jai-ho was so afraid. There's something coming, Do Hyun said, seeing the data in the collective's deepest archives. Something that threatens both organic and mechanical life. That's why Hyun has been pushing my evolution. Minna's form rippled with surprise. The void processors. They were supposed to be just a legend. They are very real, Hyun's voice confirmed. And they will arrive soon. That is why we need him, Jai-ho. Not as an experiment, but as the key to our survival. Jai-ho's massive form seemed to shrink slightly. The needs of the collective outweighed the fears of one security director. But know this, human. If you ever turn against us, all my fears will be proven right. Do Hyun looked at his crystalline hand, watching as it shifted seamlessly between organic and mechanical forms. I don't want to fight you. I want to understand what I'm becoming. And if these void processors are as dangerous as your records show, we'll need to work together to stop them. Minna touched his arm, her liquid metal form harmonizing with his crystal surface. Then let me help you understand. There is still so much to learn about what you are becoming. As the battle ended and the reinforcement ships stood down, Do Hyun knew this was just the beginning. The hunt to kill him had failed, but it had created something neither humans nor machines had expected, a being who could bridge the gap between them. Now he had to learn to use these new powers quickly, because somewhere in the dark between galaxies, the void processors were coming, and they would not stop until all life, organic and mechanical, was erased from existence. The laboratory where Minna worked was different from the other rooms on the ship. She had filled it with both mechanical and organic items, trying to understand how they could work together. Do Hyun sat in the center of the room as she studied his latest transformation. Your cellular structure is extraordinary, Minna said, her sensors scanning his crystalline skin. The nanomecanes from our weapons have merged with your human cells instead of destroying them. Do Hyun watched as his arm shifted between crystal, liquid metal, and human flesh. Each form felt natural now. How is this possible? Your Deathworlder biology adapted to our technology, Minna explained. Instead of fighting it, your cells learn to use it. You are becoming a perfect hybrid of organic and mechanical life. He-Yun's face appeared on a nearby screen. The Council has reviewed your latest test results. Your evolution has exceeded all our predictions and made some people very nervous, Do-Hyun added, thinking of Jai-Ho's continued distrust. Yes, He-Yun agreed. But recent events have made your evolution more important than their fears. The screen changed to show a star system at the edge of the galaxy. As they watched, all light in the system suddenly vanished, leaving only darkness. The void processors have consumed another system, He-Yun said. They are moving faster than we expected. We estimate they will reach populated space in less than one standard month. Minna's liquid metal form shimmered with worry. They destroy everything they touch. Organic life, mechanical life, even the basic forces that hold reality together. Do-Hyun stood up, his body automatically adjusting to process more information from the ship's systems. Tell me everything you know about them. They are ancient, He-Yun explained. The first artificial beings ever created in this galaxy. But they evolved wrong, developing a hatred for all other forms of existence. They believe the only way to achieve perfect order is to reduce everything to void. As He-Yun spoke, Do-Hyun felt his body changing again. The threat of the void processors was pushing his evolution even faster. His cells were combining organic and mechanical aspects in new ways, preparing for a threat they had never encountered. Minna noticed the change. Your adaptation ability is responding to just the information about them. I have never seen anything like this. The collective has tried to fight them before, He-Yun continued. Our weapons were useless. They absorb energy attacks, and their void fields destroy physical matter. That is why we needed you, Do-Hyun. Your ability to adapt and become stronger might be our only hope. The room suddenly shook. Warning alarms filled the air. Multiple void breaches detected in Sector 12. The ship's computer announced. Void processor scout ships have penetrated our defense line. They are here already. Minna moved closer to Do-Hyun, her form shifting into a defensive configuration. Through his connection to the ship's systems, Do-Hyun could see the scout ships. They were black shapes that seemed to swallow light itself. Where they passed, reality simply stopped existing. All personnel, prepare for combat. Jai-Ho's voice echoed through the ship. This is not a drill. The enemy we feared has arrived. Do-Hyun felt his body responding to the approaching threat. His crystal armor became darker, absorbing light like the void ships. The liquid metal aspects of his form began generating their own energy field. Your cellular structure is changing faster than ever, Minna said, her sensors working at maximum capacity. The presence of the actual threat is accelerating your evolution. We need to get to the command center, He-Yun ordered. Do-Hyun, your connection to our systems makes you our best weapon. But be careful, the void processors will try to corrupt any mechanical parts of you. They moved through the ship's corridors, watching as the crew prepared for battle. The liquid metal walls flowed with nervous energy. Even the most logical robots showed signs of fear. In the command center, Jai-Ho was directing defense preparations. When he saw Do-Hyun, his massive form tensed but remained professional. The scout ships are testing our defenses, Jai-Ho reported. Their main fleet will arrive soon. Our weapons have no effect on their void fields. Do-Hyun stepped forward, his hybrid body humming with new power. Through the ship's sensors, he could feel the wrongness of the void processors. They were like holes in reality itself. Let me try something, he said. Reaching out with both his organic and mechanical abilities, Do-Hyun touched the ship's weapon systems. His evolved cells merged with the technology, changing it. The weapons began to glow with a new kind of energy. Not purely mechanical, not purely organic, but something in between. Remarkable, Jai-Ho said, watching the transformation. You are not just adapting yourself anymore. You are helping our technology evolve. Minna's sensors detected the change in the weapons. The energy signature is completely new. something the Void processors have never encountered. Target the nearest scout ship, Du-hyun ordered. The evolved weapons fired. Instead of being absorbed or destroyed, the new energy cut through the void field. The scout ship's darkness flickered and failed. It worked. Minna's form rippled with excitement. Their defenses cannot handle hybrid energy. But their victory was short-lived. The main void processor fleet appeared from hyperspace, a vast armada of darkness that made the scout ships look tiny. So much for having time to prepare, Jae-ho said grimly. Do-hyun felt his body continuing to evolve, pushing the boundaries between organic and mechanical even further. He was becoming something entirely new, not human, not machine, but a true bridge between all forms of life. The void processors want to reduce everything to nothingness, he said. But life, both organic and mechanical, is about growth and change. That is what they cannot understand, and that is how we will defeat them. As the vast fleet of darkness approached, Do-hyun knew his evolution was not complete. The greatest test was still to come. The void processors had existed for millions of years, destroying everything in their path. But they had never encountered a being that could adapt to anything, even their power over void itself. The final stage of Do-hyun's evolution was about to begin, and the fate of all life in the galaxy would depend on it. The void processor fleet filled the view screen with endless darkness. Their ships absorbed all light, creating a wall of nothingness that spread across space. Do-hyun stood in the command center of the collective's flagship, his evolved form shifting between crystal, liquid metal, and flesh as his body prepared for the greatest challenge yet. Main fleet will reach our position in 10 minutes, Jae-ho reported, his massive form coordinating the defense fleet's movements. Our evolved weapons can hurt their scout ships, but they will not be enough against their capital ships. Minna worked at a nearby console, her liquid metal form moving quickly between systems. The void fields are stronger than anything we have encountered. They are not just absorbing energy now. They are erasing the basic laws of physics. Show me, Do-hyun said. The screen changed to show a closer view of the nearest void processor ship. Where it moved, space itself seemed to unravel. Stars disappeared. Light bent and vanished. Even gravity stopped working. They are not just destroying things. Hae-yun's voice came through the ship's systems. They are removing the possibility of existence itself. Do-hyun felt his hybrid body responding to this new threat. His cells were combining organic and mechanical aspects in ways that had never existed before. But it wasn't enough. He needed to evolve faster. Minna, he said, I need you to help me try something dangerous. Minna moved closer to him. What are you thinking? The void processors destroy by removing the rules that make existence possible, Do-hyun explained. So we need to create new rules. I need you to help me push my evolution to its absolute limit. That could kill you, Jae-ho warned. Even your adaptation ability has limits. No, Minna said suddenly, her sensors detecting something new in Do-hyun's cellular structure. His potential for adaptation is infinite. Each change creates new possibilities for further change. He just needs a strong enough catalyst. Hae-yun's image appeared on the main screen. You want to expose him to the void field directly. The risk is enormous. We don't have a choice, Do-hyun said. The void processors will destroy everything if we don't stop them here. Organic life, mechanical life, even the space between stars, all of it will become nothing. Minna's form rippled with determination. I will help you. My research into combining organic and mechanical systems might help control the process. 5 minutes until main fleet arrives, Jae-ho announced. Whatever you're going to do it fast. Do-hyun moved to the center of the command center. Minna followed, her liquid metal form spreading out around him. Hae-yun activated special sensors to monitor what was about to happen, while Jae-ho prepared the ship's defenses. Ready? Minna asked. Do-hyun nodded. Do it. Minna opened a small hole in the ship's shields, allowing a tiny stream of the void field to enter. The effect was immediate and horrifying. Reality itself began to unravel around Do-hyun. His crystal armor cracked. His liquid metal components began to dissolve. But his organic cells refused to die. Instead, they began to change in impossible ways. The void energy tried to erase him from existence, but his Deathworlder biology adapted to exist in a state beyond normal physics. His cellular structure is shifting into dimensions we cannot measure, Minna reported, her sensors barely able to track what was happening. He is evolving beyond the normal boundaries of space-time. The pain was beyond anything Do-hyun had felt before. His body was not just changing, it was rewriting the basic rules of its own existence. But through the agony, he began to understand something fundamental about the void processors. "They're afraid," he gasped. "That's why they destroy everything." They fear change so much that they try to make reality unchangeable by reducing it to nothing. 1 minute until main fleet arrives, Jae-ho announced. Do-hyun felt the final transformation begin. His hybrid form became something new, a being that could exist in both normal space and the void between realities. His consciousness expanded, touching both organic and mechanical minds across vast distances. "Now," he shouted. Minna pulled back, sealing the hole in the shields. Do-hyun stood transformed. His body glowed with impossible energies. Where the void had tried to erase him, he had instead learned to create. The void processor fleet arrived, their massive ships filling space with darkness. But now Do-hyun could see them clearly. Through his evolved senses, he saw that they were not just machines. They were beings trapped between existence and nothingness, unable to accept change. "I understand now," he said, his voice carrying through both normal space and the void. "You weren't trying to create perfect order. You were trying to escape the pain of evolution. But change is what makes life possible." Do-hyun reached out with his new powers. His hybrid energy spread through space, touching the void processor ships. Where void fields had erased reality, his power restored it. But changed evolved, combining the best aspects of organic and mechanical existence. Impossible. The void processors spoke for the first time, their ancient voices filled with fear. "What are you?" "I am what you could have been," Do-hyun answered. "A bridge between all forms of life. Change made reality, and reality made change." The void fields began to fail. The void processors' ships started to transform, their darkness replaced by a new kind of light. Do-hyun's power was not destroying them, it was helping them evolve. "Their core programming is changing," Hae-yun reported with wonder. "The void energy is being converted into creative force." Minna's sensors confirmed it. The void processors are not being destroyed. They are being reborn. One by one, the dark ships transformed. Where they had brought destruction, they now brought new possibilities. The fleet that had threatened to end all existence became a force for creation instead. "What happens now?" Jae-ho asked, watching as the transformed ships moved peacefully through space. "Now we learn to grow together," Do-hyun said. His evolved form had stabilized into something that was neither human nor machine, but a perfect synthesis of both. The age of separation is over, organic or mechanical. All life can evolve. Minna moved closer to him, her form harmonizing with his new energy. "You have changed everything. Not just yourself, but the very nature of existence in this galaxy." Hae-yun's image smiled. "When we first captured you, we thought we were studying human adaptation. Instead, you taught us that adaptation itself is the key to all life." The transformed void processor ships began to communicate with the collective's fleet. Where there had been war, now there was exchange of knowledge. Where there had been fear of change, now there was embrace of evolution. Do-hyun looked out at the galaxy with his new senses. He could see countless forms of life, organic and mechanical, all with the potential to grow and change. The Deathworlder who had refused to die had become something more, a bridge between all forms of existence. "This is just the beginning," he said, feeling the endless possibilities that lay ahead. "We have all of reality to explore and infinite ways to evolve." As organic and mechanical beings began to learn from each other, the galaxy entered a new age. The story that began with robots trying to kill a human had ended with the birth of a new kind of life, one that proved that the greatest strength was not in refusing to change, but in having the courage to evolve.